Hi, everybody. I'm Walter. I'm the Dutchman, and welcome back to the S.M.A.R.T Performance Podcast, where S stands for self-care, M for mindful growth, A for adaptive problem solving, R for rhythmic operation, T for building that thriving community, and of course, P for performance. I'm really happy to have Russell with me today. We're going to dive into a topic that we don't like to talk about, but it is so very important. A, we always know that neurodivergent people or people with disabilities like dyslexia, which is the topic today, are often left behind, but they have hidden talents, and it is a responsibility of the leader not only to know yourself, and if you are suffering or have these issues, that how you can climb the career ladder, but also how you can unlock the secrets within by supporting these folks in your organization, because that can be of great benefit to you. So stick with me for the next 15 minutes as Russell's going to tell us a lot about this and give us some three key takeaways. Russell, introduce yourself and welcome to the show today.
Thanks for having me. And how I got started in doing this is it was the late 90s. I was applying for the New York State Assembly internship. I showed up with a neuropsychic evaluation that said I had a first grade reading and writing level, so I couldn't do the standard internship. They placed me in the Majority Leaders Program and Counsel's office in a different building with 3 administrative assistants. And that worked out great because they could help me with my horrific writing. For the academic portion, I gave a Q&A session for hours instead of the paper, which was standard. And then they sent it back to the political science department at the State University of New York Center at Buffalo with 15 credit recommendation for an A-. They didn't like the accommodations the state government came up with, so they flunked me. They gave me 15 credits of F. I said, I'm done with the discrimination. I asked my professors where I could go to force myself to learn to read and write in grad school. They said, if you like political science, go to law school. I audited 2 law classes. My second day in contracts, the professor calls on me. I didn't respond as a student. I responded as his equal. We argued for 15 minutes. From there, I learned to read within a month. I learned to write within a couple of years of auditing law classes. Went back to the New York State Senate. I said, I want you to fund my dyslexia research program, which they don't do. But after years of going through the education department, I was funded for a multi-year program at the Averill Park Central School District right outside of Albany, New York. We took highly motivated, highly intelligent high school juniors and seniors, reading and writing at the middle school level, 1 class period a day for the school year. They increased to the average range of entering graduate students. They all went on to college. They all graduated, GPAs of 2.5 to 3.6. We were 3x as successful as the best dyslexic college at the time for less than 1% of the cost. Cost New York State taxpayers less than $900 a kid. That's how I got started, and I've been working on this process for the last 25 years.
I love it, and the key takeaway from the just said persistence, right? Don't take no for an answer. Be dogged and keep going at it until you find the right person, the right opportunity in order to spread. So, well, let's get into the conversation. And now that we know how you get started, what is the formula for success that you have developed over that period of time that you like to talk about today?
Well, first of all, we need to look at the actual science of dyslexia. This is the top book in the field. It's called Overcoming Dyslexia, second edition by Sally Shaywitz, medical doctor from Yale. That's dyslexia. So I want you to look at the back part of the dyslexic of the general ed brain. Do you see how your brain has this massive neuroactivity in the back part, and the dyslexic has next to nothing?
Yeah.
But the front part of the dyslexic brain is about 2.5 times overactive.
Yeah.
So what's going on is when you're having problems with dyslexia in the workplace, it's because my brain is completely opposite of yours. And that misunderstanding, what you take for granted, what you find easy, we find hard, and what you find hard, we find easy. So what it generally means is going through our education, kindergarten through college, it's generally the back part of the brain. The graduate school part, the front part, the higher order thinking, that's where we have 2.5 times the neural activity. So when you're dealing with a dyslexic, best thing you can do is literally talk to them. Best done through human resources. Find out what their speciality is, their area of extreme interest and ability, and then place them in that area. especially if you're dealing with ADD or especially ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. You step outside that speciality, we're next to useless. You get us in that speciality, we are laser focused, and we're probably going to be about your best employee. Secondly, if you ask a dyslexic in your speciality, do you have ideas flying around your head at light speed but with little to no organization? We're going to say yes. So what we have to do is we have to force the dyslexic brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. So let me kind of give you an academic session explanation of this, and then how we actually apply this in the real world. So if you ask a dyslexic, what effect did Martin Luther King's famous "I Have a Dream" speech have on the American Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s? It's like grabbing fog. There's nothing for us to grab onto. We have to ask a specific to a general question. What personally compelled Martin Luther King to want to give his famous speech? We start off at a very specific point. We go out, we find the answer. That question gives us an answer, which gives us a question, which gives us an answer. That forces our brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. So when you're talking to a dyslexic and you're giving them assignments, start off with an extremely specific point. Don't say, here's the big idea and eventually get to the details. Do the exact opposite. Okay? And how do you do that? When you look at anything, the front part of our brain, according to Yale, deals with word analysis followed by articulation. You want to give that dyslexic student a very specific starting point, and I like to use universal themes. So I'm going to start off and show you a quick process on how to do this that will also help your other employees, and it's going to seem completely off the wall. We're going to start off with a movie review. So I want you to think of a movie that you've seen that you know really well, you think is one of the best of all times, and everybody's seen it. What's the name of that movie?
Oh, you're putting me on. I'm not a big movie watcher. The Godfather.
The Godfather. Okay. Now here's a key point. I need you to sum up The Godfather in one universal theme that best represents that movie.
It is the mafia controlling.
Nope. One word.
One word. Mafia.
Mafia. Okay. Well, that's an organization. Give me something broader. Give me a universal theme that represents that movie.
Money.
Money. Okay. So do you see how this really forces you to think?
Yes.
Here's the problem with the universal theme of money that I'm about to demonstrate. If we're going to do a movie review, you would take the universal theme of money, say, how do the chief actors do with it? How did the director do? How did the screenwriter do? And then you write it up that way. Problem is, money is such a broad universal theme. You can't laser focus, and we need to laser focus nowadays and get very specific. So how we fix that is I'm going to traumatize your audience by going back to high school Shakespeare. All right, so let's just discuss why am I using Shakespeare? Because in the communication in the English language, he's at the absolute top. So when you look at any Shakespearean play, you have a hero. Hero wants to do something involving one or more universal themes. Then from that you have the ultimate villain, a person, a concept, or some combination there too, and they're trying to prevent the hero from accomplishing their goals. They start having a conflict in Act 1, escalates in Act 2, and concludes in Act 3. Sound familiar?
Yep.
Let's simplify that. So what we do with the dyslexic, this is word analysis followed by articulation. We first ask, what is it you want to do? So in business, we just say, what is it that we're trying to accomplish? And who's the hero we're going to do that through? I go to AI because we're adults, not students. We can use AI to make things easier. I say, give me 10 paragraphs, 20 paragraphs on what we're trying to do here. Then for each sentence, have the AI pick out the most important word and then list them. Then have them come up with custom definitions for each word. Then based on what the hero wants to do, give you the top 10 or the top 20. And then you as the human pick out the one that best represents what the hero wants to do. But like your universal theme of money in The Godfather, this is so broad it's not usable because we need to laser focus. So once you pick your best most important word, that's our base universal theme. Then I would take that and tell the AI, give me 100 synonyms and custom definitions, and then based on what we want to do, what the hero wants to do, give me the top 10 or top 20. You pick the one where the definition best matches what's in your head. Okay? If you're not happy, run this a few more times. The AI is doing it, doesn't take long. Once you have that, you're going to have a word that doesn't match perfectly what's in your head. It's going to get close, though. And then we can use that as our universal theme that we can laser focus look through. That is an advanced form of word analysis. Then you're going to come up with, how do I communicate this to the dyslexic student? You're going to come up with 3 really good reasons or action items that you want to use, what you're trying to accomplish through this word as a universal theme. And then once you have that, ask the AI to explain this in a way that's going to allow the dyslexic to go from a specific point out to a general area to get the project that you want done. And then send that to the dyslexic in writing. And that's important because then the dyslexic can then take that, put it into any form of artificial intelligence, just to make sure they know exactly what what you're looking for. But this way, you're communicating on how our brains actually work, which is completely different than what you're used to, because our brains are polar opposites.
Very interesting. So, can you give me a scenario of something that you have worked with on how that step 1, 2, 3, and what the outcome of that is?
Sure. So let me give you an example. I had a former client that I taught how to do, there's a book called The Craft of Research, which from the University of Chicago sold over 1 million copies, and it teaches doctoral students to do their doctoral dissertations. It's come up everybody on the same page with context, come up with a unique problem statement that actually needs to get solved and a unique solution. I train kids to do this through high school. So one of my former students went through college, practiced this for 4 years, then got a job, and I got a call because the kid's literally in tears because they can't communicate with their manager. Okay? This was in the finance area. He had to come up with better ideas on how to finance certain, let's just call them big ticket purchases. So literally, I had the manager say, okay, what is it that you're trying to do? Really, we went through, and I explained the movie things. He said, okay, I got it. We went through that same process. They ended up writing over 100 paragraphs and coming up with over 100, hundreds and hundreds of most important words. They narrowed it down, and he said, yeah, that's what I'm looking to do. Went through the synonyms, had to go through over 700 words until he found a word that he liked. And then with that one, said, okay, this is what I'm trying to communicate through. Now, what exactly do I want this kid to do? And he then took those ideas, came up with 3 project points, started off from the beginning, and, really, I call them reasons or projects you're trying to do. And from that specific point, explained it a little bit, then went into the AI and explained it out from there. The AI knew exactly what to do, turned it over to the kid. The kid looked at it and then just went through and did the craft of research thing, came back within a week, and they said, this is freaking brilliant. Okay, because the kid went through the entire context, getting a problem statement and the solution were things they could actually use. And he said, okay, I have to spend a little bit more time communicating with this dyslexic employee, but man, I am getting so much better work out of him. This is a new hire, and he's getting work out of this kid in less time than he would expect from a senior person.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing of learning as a leader to work with neurodivergent people who are different from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is that, and I would encourage the listeners to this. So I'm concentrating on what Russell is telling me because it is so different from the different parts of the brain that I probably benefit from listening to this 2 or 3 times to really make it click. So I always talk about it's good to hear you speak. So what is an action step that a leader can take in order to be a better leader to people who are neurodivergent, dyslexic, or other things?
Well, the main thing is just understand our brains are completely different. So what you want to do is to set up with artificial intelligence, as much as your company allows, the simple things that you do every day, we find difficult. Basic organization, emails, that sort of thing. Allow us as much as possible to use artificial intelligence that your company will allow. But the really hard stuff, the stuff that you really need solved, Make sure that you find projects that are within the dyslexic or the neuroversus speciality, and then go through that process that I just gave you. And what you will find, remember, we got 2.5 times the neuroactivity in the front part of my brain. Let me give you a quick example of what happened. Remember when I said when I went to law school, my second class I was called on? I responded better than my classmates who graduated, passed the bar. They still can't do what I did then. When I had to go and get my work approved, I had to go and get approved by a senior professor. It was supposed to take years. I had it approved in less than 2 weeks. Okay? There are real advantages to using that overactive front part of the brain. And so if you follow that, give us the hard stuff you're having difficulty with. The stuff, and then when we have problems that are really simple to do, allow us as much as possible to use artificial intelligence to correct that. And it'll make things so much easier. It used to be you had to get a dyslexic and administrative assistant. You know how expensive those are. Well, now AI can take up 90% of that.
Yeah, yeah. So it is, and it really what the takeaway, and again for the audience is that when you need to hire somebody in your organization, don't shy away from people who are a little bit different, and especially if you have tasks that need to be completed that takes due diligence and are difficult to do. There are very talented people who are by nature tend to be introverts who will not speak up, but they have a gift and take advantage of that gift, right? Put them into a situation supported by AI where they can do some real deep thinking and often do very well with numbers as well. I've had several clients over the years who fall into that category, and each one of them is brilliant in their own right and have excelled once they finally got into the right position. And the most important thing here is they had the right boss, a boss that understood them and was able to work with them and give them the space and time to be able to develop that while securing their insecurities, and really it helps people thrive. Russell, where can we find you if somebody wants to learn more about what the work that you do?
Best thing to do is just go to dyslexiaclasses.com. That's with an S, Dyslexia Classes, and just go to the contact us form, fill it out, and we can set up a time to talk and go over anything that you're concerned about.
Okay. That sounds pretty easy, and hopefully a dyslexic person will put it into the show notes so people can just click on the link and don't have to spell it all out, because that can be difficult at times as well. Give us some parting thought or something that people can use today to create a better tomorrow.
Best thing I can just describe is, again, we are the exact opposite of most individuals. So when I mean harder things, I want you to find out what the dyslexic's interested in. Find out what they're really good at, and then in that area, give them your most challenging problems to solve, and you will be shocked at just how well we deal with that.
Hey, listen, that's rock solid advice. I'm really, really glad that we get to connect on the podcast. I think it's a message that needs to go out, that each one of us has a talent. We just need to, as leaders, learn how to bring that out and how to not take advantage of it, but really make sure we bring the best out of every single person that can help us solve complex problems. And again, thank you very much for joining me today. And to the audience, again, without taking any meaningful action, this conversation will be forgotten tomorrow. So take action today and be wiser tomorrow. Go to the Apple Store, download the Dutch Mentor mobile app, and there you can find lots of information, including all of the podcasts. And again, I'll see you at the next show. Russell, thank you very much for being here today. And I hope that you're looking forward to a warmer Albany real soon.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.